Okay, Apple have just released a brand new USB-C pencil. I'm here to tell you why you shouldn't buy it and to give you an alternative that's roughly around about half the price of the new USB-C Apple Pencil. Now, taking a look at Apple's website, they have given us this super handy list of all the different features. And as you would expect, to get the full suite, you're going to want the Apple Pencil Gen 2, but that's totally down to your budgets, etc. Now, just a quick warning, please make sure to check your iPad and its compatible Apple Pencil. It's really important to check that. Check the link in the description down below to go to Apple's website where you can triple check what works with your iPad and which one doesn't. Now, starting off though, it's important to know how much these items cost. The Gen 2 is still $129, the Gen 1 is $99, and the USB-C version is $79, this brand new one. Now, this USB-C version is an alternative to the Gen 2 essentially, but that market of alternatives is massive and there's plenty that you can get your hands on. I've actually reviewed what is going to be our additional product to this graph today, which is the Benks magnetic pencil. It's hands down my favorite alternative to the Apple Pencil Gen 2. And so I'm going to pop it in the lineup so you can see the differences of what it features compared to this new USB-C version. By the way, if you're interested in my review on that Benks magnetic pencil alternative, there's a link in the description down below, as well as a link to their product page as well. So be sure to hit those links in the description down below. Now we're going to go through the list of all the features. Now, as I mentioned, I've also added the Benks onto the right hand side, so you'll be able to see its feature set against the Apple products themselves. We've got pixel perfect precision. The Benks is spot on. It's going to give you that low latency, as is the second point as well, to make your drawing just feel like it's lag free and the line is keeping up with where you're drawing on the screen. Tilt sensitivity is really important, of course, for your drawing. If you're going to use like a pencil or any type of other brush that utilizes tilt sensitivity, you're going to get a different line when you stroke onto the screen with tilt sensitivity. And again, the Benks has that, and so does the USB-C version. Now, this is quite a big one, is pressure sensitivity. Now, if you don't know what pressure sensitivity is, if you press really lightly with a line while you're drawing, you're going to get a really thin line. But the harder you press on the screen, the iPad knows how hard you're pressing and then can give you a thicker line, so you can be really, expressive with your lines when you're doing calligraphy, for example, or just line work in any sort of cartoons. For example, you may want to have a little bit of a taper on the end of your line, so you just let the pressure get lighter as you make your way off. Of course, the Gen 2 has it, the Gen 1 has it, but the USB-C version that Apple's made for $79 does not include it. Now, the Benks doesn't have it either, so that is obviously where they're parred at the minute. But this feature set from this point on is where I start to think that it sways towards the Benks rather than this USB-C version. First of all, we have, does it attach magnetically onto the side of the iPad? And the Gen 2 does, of course, the USB-C one does, and so does the Benks. But weirdly, and obviously for obvious reasons at the same time, because it charges by USB-C, you can attach it to the side. You can't pair it. You can't charge it. It's just there as a holder. The magnets are just simply there to hold it. Whereas the Benks will magnetically charge on the side. There's no need to just go around popping a cable into your Apple Pencil and then potentially leaving it on your side when you go off to school or work and leave your pencil charging at home. It will be on the iPad, it will be charging on the iPad, and it will be ready to go the second you need it. So to me, that is just a huge point that sways towards the Benks alternative. If for obvious reasons it's not in the USB-C one, but it does make me feel a bit uneasy that that feature is not there. We then move into what they have then put into the USB-C one, which is hover feature. Now, I don't have one of the latest iPads, and for the sake of upgrading to have hover, I would never do that. It's essentially a mix between a hardware and software little feature. You are floating your pen above the screen and a button may just pop out a little animation just to fill that button in. Or when you're using Procreate, sometimes you can see the color as it blends with the color on the screen. But you are hovering your pen just 2 millimeters off the screen. It doesn't make any difference whether or not you draw it and see it or hover and see it. It's the same outcome either way. And you can always tap with 2 fingers to undo if you don't like the work you did. I don't believe that this is a big enough reason for you to then say, I'm going to get the Apple Pencil USB-C version. The hover feature, I find, to be honest, is a little bit of a gimmick. I wouldn't upgrade my pencil and spend the additional money to just have the hover feature. We then move into double tap, which is where a lot of the pencils other than the Gen 2 fall off now. You don't have to double tap on the Apple Pencil USB-C version, nor Benks, nor Gen 1. And I have turned it off. I know a lot of other creators have also turned it off. When you double tap on the Apple Pencil, you can switch between tools. You can jump to your eraser, then jump back to your pencil. I've turned it off because of accidental presses. It's just as simple as that. And if you want to spend the extra money, you can get free engraving. But again, that's only on the Apple Pencil Gen 2. So we're looking through that list then, and there is a couple of features that sway either way. You either want to go with the hover feature of the USB-C version, or with a Benks alternative, for example, you get the option of having it charge magnetically on the side and of course mount there as well. To me, the best thing about the Apple Pencil Gen 2 is the fact that it's always charged, it's always on the side of your iPad, and it's ready to go when you need it. That's it. That's the best thing about it. You don't have to worry about charging another item. At night, my bedside table is crazy. We've got phone, iPad, we've got my Apple Watch as well. I don't need to be adding a pencil onto that list as well. So to me, I would think and consider the Benks just simply because of that reason. Now, Apple like to create ladders in their product lineup, so just be aware of this. When they release a cheap item, the next item is just a small amount more money just above that. And then that makes you then want to upgrade again because it's just a little bit more expensive. And then they have another product that again is the same amount more to move up the ladder again. So if you increase your storage, you're basically paying the same amount as like the next phone up in the ladder. And so there's always a ladder system. And to me, this is their attempt to break the alternative market a little bit and take away some of their income and revenue in the alternative market and give themselves a ladder. If you're already going to spend $79, could you save the money and make your way up to the next alternative, which of course is potentially the Gen 2 for you? So what's my final thoughts? What's my final conclusion on this Apple Pencil USB-C version? I truly believe there are no circumstances where you should buy this Apple Pencil. No circumstances whatsoever. If your budget will not stretch to the Apple Pencil Gen 2, if that's the one that's compatible to your device, then you're looking at alternatives. And if you're looking at an alternative, you're going to end up potentially sacrificing a few features. But you should save yourself some money while you're doing it. Don't spend nearly $80 on this Apple Pencil. You can get the Benks, which is $45 normal price. A lot of the time it's on sale, for example, and you can get it for about $40, if not slightly less. There are plenty more on the market. Go and do some research and find what's best for you. If it's just a matter of saving up for one more month to get the Apple Pencil Gen 2, again, whichever one's most compatible with your device, please go for the better product. You will not sacrifice any features with your Apple Pencil. You'll have the absolute best experience. Your experience of doing Procreate tutorials, for example, will mimic exactly how the creator is doing them with pressure, with their line work. Now, it's totally up to you depending on what you're going to use it for and with your iPad. In my opinion, I don't think anyone should rush into getting an Apple Pencil until you can get the one that is most compatible with your device. So, thanks, Apple. Really appreciate it. See you in the next one.